because spelling is fun. Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. Today, I'm gonna do an album review on the new Taylor Swift album, Lover. Also, if you're wondering, I will do a review of Drake, Post Malone, and Lana Del Rey very soon, but have a little patience here. I am a very busy person. So Taylor Swift had just released another album called Lover, and I wasn't really expecting much given how her music had always been kind of generic, kind of subpar. However, I have to admit I do kind of enjoy tracks like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. Maybe it's because I was really young when I first heard it and I liked it when I was young because I was young. But I also kind of like the track Shake It Off because it's actually kind of catchy and uplifting. And then she dropped Reputation in the year 2017, which is a total flop in my opinion because she basically goes from making, lovey-dovey pop music to faux, edgy, fake, dark, cool drama queen. Yeah, I get a lot of hate and I'm gonna wear it like a crown kind of music, and it just ends up as something cringy. I gave Reputation a strong 3 out of 10. There are decent tracks on that album, don't get me wrong, but overall, the concept and the singles off of the track, I just can't stand it. And then we have the album Lover, which is where Taylor Swift goes back to form, starting to make some more uplifting, catchy, colorful pop songs like she always does. But this time, I think instrumentally, musically and instrumentally, she's at her most mature yet. However, don't get me wrong, there are some bad songs on the album as well. First of all, this album is over an hour long and it's 18 tracks long, and it's a little too much in my opinion. I think if she keeps it short and put quality over quantity, maybe it's gonna be better. The album starts off with I Forget That You Existed, and it's actually a pretty fun track, not gonna lie. I like the playful pianos and the nice pumpy beats, but the instrumentals overall is kind of dry, a little drab, and overall it's just an okay opener to the album. The next track, however, Cruel Summer, is leagues better in my opinion, and it's a pretty triumphant synth pop song with a lot of energy. The chorus is really catchy, and it almost has this Carly Rae Jepsen vibe that I really love. And on this track, Taylor Swift doesn't rip Carly off, but instead she has the very energetic and upbeat vibe that Carly has, and that's one of the reasons why I love this track so much. The next track, title track, is even better in my opinion. It's this really pretty, gorgeous, simplistic acoustic guitar ballad. I really like the subtle country vibe of the track. The instrumentals, they are luscious, and the lyrics, they are intimate and very sweet. And overall, I think, even though the track is pretty simple at its structure, at its core, and instrumentally, but it's still something sweet and beautiful that I really want from Taylor Swift's music. The track The Man is instrumentally it's pretty good. It has some decent synths, but lyrically it's a little bit controversial because on this track Taylor Swift basically imagines herself as a man, and she says that if she was a man she wouldn't get that much hate and her actions wouldn't stir as much of a controversy, which is something that I respectfully disagrees. But still instrumentally it's okay. It's pretty good. After that, we have the track The Archer, which is easily the worst song on the album. It's this spacey, bland, empty track with this really low-key one-note instrumental in the back that slowly swells at the very end, and the instrumental swell at the very end. The climax is actually really weak and toothless. The flow of the track is also really awkward and really aimless, and I think the track overall could have been cut from the album. It shouldn't even be a single in the first place. The track I Think He Knows is another pretty good track. I like the finger snaps throughout the entire track. I like the fun vocal harmonies. I also really like the tongue-in-cheek vocal performances on this track, which makes her persona on the track more animated and more playful. Wow, that was loud. Anyway, the next track is Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, and it's another one of those head scratching tracks from Taylor Swift. It's yeah, it sounds like a Lana Del Rey ripoff with the very moany, groany, breathy vocals. The instrumentals are really lackluster and really underwhelming. Not much is going on in terms of the instrumentals, and the melodies are pretty tedious. However, again, the next track is great in comparison. Paper Rings is legitimately one of the best Taylor Swift songs ever, in my opinion. It's basically this rowdy, exciting, energetic pop rock track with a very sparkly and euphoric chorus. The instrumentals are beautiful, they're fun, and the performances, they are wild and zany, and overall, it's just such a blast of a pop song. It just instantly clicks at you, and it's like this one track in the entire track list that stands out to me. The next track, Cornelia Street, is pretty good as well. It's a more emotional pop song, but it still manages to sound uplifting and catchy. We have the track Death by a Thousand Cuts, and this track is when the album starts to go downhill, in my opinion. I am not a huge fan of the intro, the bye 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 intro. And overall, the track is this linear, smooth, glitzy pop ballad, which isn't bad in my opinion, just not as good in comparison to other great tracks on the album. The track London Boy has this really dumb, crappy London stereotype thing going on, hey, teas and crumpets, drive my scooter, walking around Camden. And I'm not a fan of the glitzy, choppy beats that just sound awkward. We have the track Soon You'll Get Better, and it's actually a pretty great track. It features the Dixie Chicks, and it's been a while since the world has heard a Dixie Chicks song, because they were basically expelled from the music industry after calling George Bush trash. But they actually gave a pretty compelling performance on this track. The harmonies are lovely. I like the pluckiest acoustic guitars, and lyrically, this song is pretty emotional and powerful because this is Taylor Swift's tribute to her mother, who's battling cancer, and it's pretty beautiful. However, all the tracks afterwards is basically pretty bland and boring. We have the track False God, which is similar to The Archer. It's really spacey and meditative, but yet it tries to sound kind of poppy at the same time. It's synth-backed, and we have a pretty decent saxophone solo, which I think is pretty neat. But the ending is really weak, and the song overall doesn't have much in terms of structure. We have the track You Need to Calm Down, which is one of the big singles leading up to the album, and it's a pretty weak allyship with the LGBTQ community, and the verses remind me of MIA's Paper Planes, except a little more dumbed down, and the instrumentals remind me a lot of the more underwhelming LCD Sound System tracks, except it's a little bit more watered down and compressed, and it just feels like a really powerless track. We have the track Afterglow, which has a pretty decent instrumental. The melodies are okay, but I think the overall flow and the overall vibe of the song is pretty lackluster and pretty uneventful. And we have the track Me all caps, exclamation mark, and it's this unnecessarily overblown and overly uplifting pop track, and the vocal performances are pretty subpar, especially for Brendan Urie's case here. Yes, he's being featured here. The lyrics, they're actually really, really terrible, especially when Taylor Swift goes, he, hoo, spelling is fun. We have the track, It's Nice to Have a Friend. I agree with the title here. It's really nice to have a friend. It's even nicer to have multiple friends. But this song is basically this bland, basic pop song with little in terms of progression or energy or color. And, Taylor still had to slap these choir vocals in the back, which completely doesn't match with the instrumentals at all. And the instrumentals itself feel kind of unfinished and demo-y as well. And then we have the ending to the album, Daylight, and it's not that great. It's a pretty bland and anticlimactic ending with some really generic beats. But yeah, I think this album is definitely better than the cringy, faux, edgy, pseudo dark Reputation, and I'm glad that Taylor Swift has returned to form and is making some uplifting synth pop bangers again. Maybe Taylor Swift is still being tangled in all these hatred and all these drama and controversy and beef. I mean, look at this fucking relationship map. What is this? And maybe on this album, Taylor Swift is putting out an act, pretending to be okay, pretending to be fine. But even that, this album still sounds kinda great. I like the vibe, I like the mood, and even though there are some trash tracks here, there are also some equally great tracks here. I think it's not bad. It's not that bad. Anyways, my favorite track is I think Paper Rings, and my least favorite is The Archer, and I am giving Taylor Swift's Lover a 6 to a strong 5 out of 10, or maybe a decent 5. Yeah, somewhere in between. So have you listened to Lover by Taylor Swift? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like if you like it, hate if you hate it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. Be patient. I'm also going to be reviewing some other albums as well, like Weather Day and Big Thief. I'm still trying my best to grasp the album.